Come on. I know it's actually recording what we're saying. Look at this. We all set up here, and then we decided, to put microphones in front of us because I was ready to hit the live button before I realized the mics were missing. It has been that kind of week. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So
it's been a long week.
Been a long week. Welcome to How They Got Hacked, episode 20.
Wow.
20 weeks.
Yo.
Yes.
20. Nice.
Consistency.
It takes time. It takes commitment. There's a lot to doing all this. And
like and share, please.
And share. Smash the like button. Actually, so indicators. They use a lot of indicators on YouTube to determine whether or not something should be raised in the rankings and things like that. So as much as you see people going, smash that like button, and you're like, yeah, whatever, it actually is a indicator, this is from YouTube directly when you read, and you can find this out, but we get like the insider newsletter. I don't know if you can read the stuff they send you, but they send you on this, and they tell you these are the indicators we use to determine whether or not people like your stuff and whether or not we show it. I mean, The whole YouTube insider newsletter stuff tells you these things.
It's very clearly outlined.
Yep. So
smash that like button.
So smash that like button. And this is Tom Lawrence,
Xavier Johnson,
Maurice Nash.
Yep. And we are How They Got Hacked today, and we're just all over the place today. There's just so many stories. Even we were laughing because my phone was beeping. I showed Xavier. I've inside information, but we can't drop any of that just yet. That's going to be it's going to be some stuff for next week's episode. We're actually talking with people who do like the dirty work of cleaning up a breach, and it's going to be interesting because I have the idea of reaching out and talking to some of those people that do it, and completely redacted. I'm not here to do anything other than discuss methodologies, discuss how everything happened and how everything went down in doing it in real time. And something similar happened this morning. And the first thing I'll talk about is the Ninja RMM and the breach that happened with them. Once again, it's not as deeply interesting. It's not as deeply technical, that particular one. They got their passwords compromised because of password reuse. And this is one of those things about a lot of these hacks is they're very unfortunately unsophisticated. And I kind of laugh. I had someone I worked with the other day for a just wicked complicated VPN setup. And so many, they had broke their network into so many different pieces and components. I'm like, wow, look at all this. Oh, cool. That person just messaged I can drop a detail, so I'm going to do that right now. That just came up on my...
Oh, wow.
That's that person there, so I'll find out what got posted somewhere and see if we can share it. Anyways, a lot of the people go overly complicated, but the sources of compromise are reuse of password. That is still like number one. They clicked on an email phishing. And going a step further, people are just so damn helpful. And what I mean by helpful is the fact that the example, and let's walk through a played out scenario that goes on in a city. So let's say the city had good passwords, strong passwords, a good email filter, really good email filter, a good web filter to keep people from clicking and opening something. So they followed all the proper procedures that you would expect. But here's where that social engineering side comes on of it. You play this scenario out where, hey, I'm a contractor, I'm trying to get you this document. All the filters catch it. This is what's going on in the back end. So I can't get it to this wonderful city clerk who really wants to see us open this new fancy building we're talking about. 'Cause it's great for the city. It's great, And how do you get that information? Well, you pretend to be the contractor that was approved in the city meeting notes that are posted publicly on the city's website.
Easy.
Yeah, so XYZ company is building something new, some $10 million build out. It's going to bring jobs to the city. And you just pretend to be the contractor on there. Now you got to get the document to them. The document, the exploit. Well, they have good mail filters. Those mail filters stop you from getting the document through. So then you say, you know what, Sarah, how about you open up your personal Gmail and we'll just try sending it that way. Pops open a window, opens up her personal Gmail, boom, you're ransomware in a city. And this happens all the time. These are the type of engineering attacks. You really have to be looking at it, but it's one of those things. Allegedly, maybe that's how it happened. Maybe we change the name to be the instant, but you start walking through these. That's why I laugh when people start breaking out things. Those are not bad, but sometimes people get so focused on that they miss some of the obvious that Sarah in the building department can log into her personal Gmail and open up a document. So it's just... Yeah, so you have to really be thinking about it, and that's what the Ninja RMM was basically a password reuse by an MSP, which of course is the sad part because there's supposed to be someone who's being paid to protect their clients. and are not.
And has not.
Yeah, has not protected our clients. And actually, because the MSP tools are very powerful and they do things at scale, for example, they scale out deployments, they scale out how quickly we can deploy software. That does include malicious software. So the password was used somewhere else, we don't know where. We think someone in a channel partner network, let's say some other system, they just, because people reuse passwords, they use the password, someone quietly exfiltrated that database, and they use that same password for their Ninja RMM login, because the people, when they log in, they're just logging in, and there's no 2FA, so I tried that password they used on this account over here, it worked under Ninja RMM, boom, I'm in, then
Done.
they quickly deployed it, and next thing you know, thousands of customers are compromised.
So what could they have done different? Duh. 2FA,
2FA.
MFA.
Just simple that. Simple 2FA.
Force it.
That's it.
Who forces it? Microsoft forces it.
Microsoft. SolarWinds.
SolarWinds
It's not an
forces it.
option.
Yeah.
And this somewhere along the line, Ninja RMM, there was a decision made in the management. They go, how easy do we want to inconvenience our customers? Do we want to be easy onboarding, or do we want to force everyone doing it? And even though they're MSPs, and loosely I'm going to say this about them, they're obviously not security minded, which probably means they may not be as technically minded. So think about the support costs you have in implementing 2FA. I know when we take over clients and implement 2FA, all of us are face palming for a little while, because we have people who are record setting at setting that and then deleting their phone. Like even Dual, we have to register to a phone. From the time we did it for an accounting firm that we took over, the next day someone had forgotten their phone and couldn't get any work done that day, and they had a 45-minute commute each way, so also did not want to go back and get their phone, and were yelling at us because they couldn't get work done, as if it was our fault. I'm like, who forgets their cell phone at home? I don't know. I think about it when I get in the car. Well, actually, now I can't get in my car without my cell phone, so that's a different problem.
There you go.
It's a good way not to forget it.
Good way not to forget it. But either way, there is a support cost with it. So there is that trade-off, but I don't think trade-offs should be made, especially at the MSP tooling level. And unfortunately, you kind of have to corral some of these MSPs into secure mode, because they're clearly not doing it on their own, at least some of them. The ones that get noticed. The ones that aren't getting noticed are probably doing it right. So
Exactly. Right. Yeah, they're not making the news.
not making the news.
Not
so
all publicity is good publicity.
not all good publicity, but that was my thoughts on some of that. And we are going to dive into, I learned about the Tesla API today.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What'd you find
So
out?
it's interesting. There's a whole lot of data that you can pull from the car.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it's not, so you can, I thought we'd have to burp suite the app or something like that. Nope, don't have to. Someone's reverse engineered a lot of it and done the legwork for us. Thank you for the community for doing this. They even have a cool Docker container that's got Grafana and everything. It will tell you so much about the car and draw pretty graphs.
Okay.
But it also has all kinds of hidden functions that you can poke at with the car. So we're going to find out. Now, it is a read-write. We're not sure how to write a lot of stuff on there, but that's where the burp suite comes back in there, because with the app, I can do things like turn climate control on and off. Now, the ultimate one, and this is where it's worth time to buy the extra feature. It's $6,000 to get the full self-driving and summon feature. Summon is where it will auto-drive somewhere. That is where the app tells the car to drive. That's what you want to have control of. Because I mean, stealing cars, no one should steal cars. That's wrong. But think about that. If I could sit here and give a car a destination and override certain features of it,
That's Fast and Furious.
I summon it back to my house. Like, how'd you get that car? It drove it here, man.
I didn't get the car. The car got me.
Or someone is in and they're like, oh my God, where are you taking me?
Where are you taking me, man? And it's not, the goal is, because we're doing it from the perspective of security research, you want a security researcher to discover, disclose, like the Silence one we talked about, which was
Right.
fun. I did a video on that too. Digging deeper into that Silence one was very interesting. I read the whole write-up, and wow, great. The write-up itself, and it's in the show notes from last week, it's a really good write-up, because it shows the methodology, it shows the thought patterns the person had to put that together. They walk through like their mindset for doing it. And one of the things that just before the show we talked about how many hours and hours and hours of research. And this is the part that makes you really angry when you're trying to do security research. Hours and hours trying super complicated stuff that didn't work. I think there was a few weeks of focusing on this product, and then to find out that all I had to do was take a game and copy it together, and it worked. And you're like, What? Where was this 2 weeks ago?
Exactly.
Right.
Why didn't I think to try that first? That's what security research is. When you find that the hole will be so obvious, you're like, I should have tried that 2 weeks ago. But that's also what makes it so difficult to do. People asking for demand. We'd love a video on it. We would too. How do I record 2 weeks of video and one really happy moment? That also can't be exposed on video if it was a new threat.
Right.
But we have some ideas. We've talked about standing some stuff up and we hack it. Maybe we do like a separate live stream or something, or we go somewhere to do it. I don't know. We get some ideas because we want to share that.
We've been seeing a lot of interesting things lately on the internet. So maybe we'll try and, without incriminating ourselves in any way, show some demonstrations of some stuff that
That's the problem. We just don't know how to properly make these videos without breaking any laws.
Right. Yeah. Because, this is still very much so like an area in which
Very gray.
it's gray, right? So if we're talking about like cell sites and we're talking about routing the internet and we're talking about, dumping ROMs and flashing ROMs and supply chain attacks, like, we're not talking about just SQL injections and cross-site scripting. We're talking about some fun stuff where sometimes you have to get the oscilloscope out. And the old bus pirate.
Yeah, that's gonna be kind of fun poking around at the car. I'm excited. We already started pulling panels off my car. We've had some of the panels off. We're gonna dig into it.
I mean, that's how it goes.
I want to see.
I mean, we have friends because we're in the Motor City, so we have friends and friends of friends that do this for a living. So like, I'm really excited to like take a couple of panels off your car myself.
Yeah, you got to see what's inside of it. I mean, this is where
intel inside.
I said my mic is low. Tom is sabotaging me. My mic is low.
Tom is sabotaging.
Oh, mic is low.
Nah, it's just far away.
I mean, that was
Details.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be on.
There you go.
For it to be
all
low.
right.
Oh.
Hey, you guys sound check for us. Thank you.
There you go. That's exactly what we plan to do, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, that's not a mistake. That's by design.
All right. Breaking news here.
Breaking.
A little bird told me. A little bird. Well, he didn't tweet it. He actually texted me. I got people. Anyways, there's an update from Huntress Labs. So let me go ahead and show you guys this. This is exactly what I saw with the Ninja RMM. So update 3. This is in my notes as well, but it's been updated. So my same notes from my video are still relevant. In this incident, hackers masked their source IP by using Tor on the Tor anonymity network. Sorry, tongue twister for me for a second. To connect to Ninja RMM's dashboard. In case you're unfamiliar with the Tor, its purpose, check out this great explainer video. The Huntress team confirmed the Tor exit nodes by cross-referencing each IP address used in the attack against known lists on the Tor project. This isn't the first time we've seen actors abuse Tor, but it is the first time we've publicly acknowledged it for sake of better community awareness. Huge thanks to the affected MSP and Ninja RMM for giving us approval to share the specific Tor exit nodes used to conduct these attacks. With this said, MSPs and vendors alike should consider whether there's legitimate need to allow purposely anonymized traffic with their managed networks, let alone authentication purposes. Huntress team would love to hear feedback from the community and legitimate purposes for Tor traffic on this. After better understanding the landscape, we'll follow up with realistic recommendations. And I mean,
I've actually blocked Tor off of my network.
Yeah.
I have literally no use for Tor. It is blocked on my network. I've had friends come over and go, bro, my tool isn't working. And I go look at the tool and it's like, oh yeah, that's trying to use Tor, bro. Like, I don't have Tor enabled on the network. And they just look at me and
I
like,
have to ask them to turn on Tor, please.
For like a quick second, just to show some love. Because it's really like, so much of the hack tone is coming in over Tor. Not so many people are actually using like, attack proxies that aren't Tor routed.
So here's something real quick I'll show you guys. I've done plenty of videos, and I mentioned this to the person who was texting me. I can confirm you can block with PF Blocker on PFSense. You can keep this list of Tor nodes, and it's constantly updated. This is an active list from Unlock for us, but there's plenty of lists out there that will allow you to do this. There's PF Blocker. You find some lists of Tor nodes. I say lists, and this is where it's a little of a cat and mouse game, because if someone spins up a Tor node until someone identifies it as a Tor node, it won't get on that list. But because you don't get to pick your Tor exit node when you go into the Tor network, you don't know where you're coming out. this list will probably block the majority of it because they're just going to go, well, couldn't get out. So it's going to slow them down. I mean, it's a big cat and mouse game. If every time someone spins up a Tor node, that has to get listed, so there's a chance they can get out. But I know a lot of places that block Tor, and there is a list with PF Blocker that is popular with PF Sense. But you can use this with other any firewall that will support these type of lists. You can find those lists and use them to block Tor and create deny rules.
And it's worth it.
Yeah. No, it's good. That's where a lot of attacks come from. So,
Yep.
Maybe I'll put together a video on that specific topic because I'll send it over to Huntress Labs who did the write-up on this and this is one of those arguments I'll get in because this is actually something I don't see on some of the other commercial firewalls as an easy way to block Tor. PF Sense, that was, it got an easy way to block Tor.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I by default, I did some work in Switzerland yesterday, so I had to unblock Switzerland. I by default block most European countries. What I do is I waitlist on a per IP basis. I just block everything except for the US, and then I even limit a lot of that. If something's listed as a anonymous proxy, it's blocked, which is the Tor nodes. If anything's listed on like VPN, I've had people say, hey, I tried connecting to your rogue tool, I can't get on. I said, you happen to be using PIA? Yeah, turn it off. So you turn it off for the session to me. If you don't trust me, why are you going to let me on your computer? I just block people's VPNs. I don't have a need. There's not a reason you should be VPNing and then connecting to my remote tool. And what it does, no, it's not the save all protection, but what do we say? Defense in depth. It's one more layer. It actually reduces my log noise quite a bit too.
I bet.
That's my update and thoughts on Tor and thoughts on blocking it, and the end of me talking about Ninja RMM. I've rambled enough about it. What is next in our list of
Craziness.
It's craziness
So
and
much.
stupidity. Should we
What
talk
is
about how not to get hacked? And this is hats off, good news. Microsoft,
Oh,
open source.
open source Microsoft.
Open source, the good guys at Microsoft.
There you go.
And there are people there. Microsoft's a big company. I don't like people say Microsoft's evil. You're trying to put a blanket over one company that is actually employing thousands and thousands of people.
Right.
There are people who are working from within to make the company better. Yes, I know there's some shitty people at Microsoft. I'm not gonna tell you everyone there is good, but not everyone is bad. Protecting democratic elections through secure, verifiable voting. Now, voting season's coming up again, and another report came out that there was more manipulation. And we know from the DEF CON voting village every year that no voting machine survives the voting village.
No.
None. Zero. I don't care. Diebold even tried to block the sale and the building of it last year, and there was a big announcement. A law firm actually helped out. They made a bunch of announcements that says you can't block the sale of voting machines on eBay. We're letting everybody know they're 100% legal to buy because there was some quasi questions because Diebold was trying to threaten to sue to stop Voting Village. And it's not because they are scared of the hackers.
Sheesh.
They're scared of the hackers exposing how poorly designed these voting
Exactly.
machines are. These voting machines are built proprietary, closed source. We don't know what magic is in them, but we know it wasn't magic.
We're about to find out now that they're on the open market.
Yep. And that's what they were doing. So this is an entire verifiable, secure, auditable, open source to make voting better. This is called Election Guard. It's free, as in open source. They want not just the U.S., but other countries to consider using it. Now, we're not talking about anonymous voting from home. That's a horrible idea. We still need to show up at the polls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of physical verification that still needs to go into voting. That aspect has not been resolved. We don't see a method. I don't see a method for that. But the machine itself needs to be open source, and simple things like putting dots on a thing and it reading the dots, or pressing the buttons on top of the screen. You want to make sure that is verifiably done. And Microsoft is they're big enough people that people will listen. This is where Microsoft is doing some good. So sure, we could probably do a pretty cool voting project. We could make it open source and no one would know what it is. When Microsoft puts their name and puts it as a blog post on their system, like, hey, this is how you do it. By the way, the code's free. We're not trying to sell you. You can download it and use your own hardware. We're not in a hardware game, so we have nothing to sell you on this.
Right.
Build the open source voting machine. I thought this is cool. It's just worth mentioning altogether.
Pretty badass.
Pretty badass. It's something we needed in the market.
Definitely.
Especially with elections coming up. It's easy enough to manipulate people based on ads on Facebook and everything else. You're looking at you, Cambridge Analytica. It's another step to actually manipulate the votings themselves. And so methodologies that slow that down, I'm all for it.
There you go. You got to detach from the old matrix.
It's hard.
Got to get off of the Facebooks.
Get off
And-
the Facebooks. Well, quit being
and the
influenced
Twitters.
by them. There's a chart someone drew, and it's a bullshit thing, but it's funny because it's so true. There is so little effort in creating bullshit, but there's an absolute 10 times effort in defending it. It's one of those things like someone posts on the internet, so-and-so did this. And I'm like, that's not true. Well, you have to prove it's not true. Well, they didn't prove it was true. Then there'll be like 10 people ganging up on you. But that one person posted it, but they're not a credible source. But it seems believable, so you have to convince me that it didn't happen.
That's
There you go.
life.
And the Earth is now flat.
When
Yeah,
someone
now let's
lies
tell
on
us-
you, now you have to defend it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's way, way more work to defend bullshit than it is to create it. But back to the hacking topics. This is going to be messy. FTP, please quit using it. But yes, I get web developers, and I just want to know if they're from the
FTP.
Stone Age asking me to set up FTP all the time. I know. And unfortunately, there are untold numbers. Older protocols just tend to never die on the internet, so there's
don't.
untold numbers of servers.
I run across it all the time. I just ran into a couple FTPs last night, and I'm like, what is happening in life?
When we were doing the CTF in Ohio, that was one of the ones I found. Remember the FTP server? So that was
It's usually one of my first modes of attack. And in my early days, I
It used
would,
to be
I would
open.
just use, since Google is my first tool, I would just use Google Dorks to find open FTPs that just had
Google's the
movies,
original
books,
showdown.
songs.
Google's the original showdown.
I mean, I'm still very much so going out getting books, movies, songs, all that stuff through Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't use torrent. I don't. What do I need a torrent for when you got everything on your network?
Everything, yeah, open
I'll
on
take it.
network.
Thank you.
But there's a flaw. So there's a flaw in the Pro FTP server when it's left by default, which means there's a flaw in Pro FTP server
Yes.
because people who are still running FTP, trust me, they've left it at default.
There you go. That's amazing. So like all your OSCP people out there, you're going to see Pro FTPD. So
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
after it.
Oh,
And,
you're
go
definitely
after
gonna
it
see
now.
it.
So there's another hole out there that we can. We'll see plenty of exploits. It's a pretty sure. There's a patch for it, but once again, people running FTP servers are also not patching things because they're
Right.
so old. So
Because they're running FTP.
because they're running FTP, that's going to be on the one of the methodologies. But before they get to the Pro FTP, first they're going to send a email to Sarah in building department with an attachment attached to it. If that
Done.
doesn't work, then go for the FTP server.
Oh, man.
It's going to work.
It's so much. that
It's
we
so
just
much.
have to allegedly talk about.
Allegedly talk about. RDP exposed. The wolves are already at your door. This is-
RDP. RDP. RDP.
We see this a lot too. We try to get everybody, and I was on the phone with a law firm who finally fired their MSP after 2 security breaches.
There
I
you
can't
go.
believe it took 2, but it did. They had a lot of machines exposed. Now they don't. Now they want to talk about, we should probably have something better. And we suggested that you put a VPN in before you RDP back to your systems.
Mm-hmm.
Their big use case for RDP is the law software has a license fee. So if they were to install it on their home computer and their workstations at work, they would pay double license fees. So they just opened up RDP. And so did everybody else.
Yikes.
RDP exposed, throw to the wolves. What you're seeing here, and they have a lot of numbers here, were amazing numbers, like huge numbers. Of
Hold on, go to that first chart. What's that say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio
is number
won.
4 for first login attempts to the honeypot.
Yeah.
So shout out to my Ohio hackers.
Yeah, these are minutes and hours, so right away people in Ohio are on it. You open up an RDP. What they did was they set up RDP honeypots, and they wanted to see over time just how many attacks come in there. So this is from April to May.
Wow.
Yeah, you're talking. These are daily reports. So you're talking 200,000 plus attempts a day at login, and they're just spraying credentials out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And trust me, if you've worked with lawyers, they may do complicated things, but they generally don't do complicated passwords.
Right, no, for sure.
So
It's probably an Excel sheet.
yeah, and it's a thing. So there's probably an Excel sheet with the passwords in it, and you probably, if you had a list of have I been pwned passwords, and you find a Netflix account and it was at somelawfirm.com, you can almost guarantee that's his RDP password.
Yep.
But
Allegedly.
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 And that's how these attacks occur. But they have a good write-up on this, and it's one of the ways that a lot of these machines get popped. These are more the one-off hacks, but there are a lot of ransomware attack. They are seeing, because they had the low interaction and high interaction honeypots. The higher interaction ones kind of want to see what they do when they get in, and high interaction is like, oh yeah, they just get into ransomware. They're like, oh
Immediately.
cool, I'm in. That's what this is for.
What else do you want to do on my box other than mine Bitcoin or ransomware?
Yeah, And when Bitcoin prices are low, you ransom, and when Bitcoin prices are high,
You mine.
You mine. It's just
Done.
it's a market thing.
Yes.
If you want to know what they're going to do, check the Bitcoin price
There you
first,
go.
and now you know where the attack vectors are going to be. So Bitcoin's on the rise.
It's all about intelligence, and it comes from multiple forms.
Now I haven't played with this. This is something that popped up. I bookmarked it, then never. I was going to play it for the show, and I didn't. But I like it in concept, and it's a gamified cyber simulation platform called Hacktail. I can't vouch whether this is good or bad, but it's basically some concept of blue teaming, so you can do things in defense. I like it. I like this in concept. I think this is kind of cool. Anything that can be, especially if it makes it a little bit more interesting and gamify what it's like to go through and be the blue team, running around patching stuff and doing that. It's a different aspect because there's plenty of red team stuff. And I'm not going to say red teaming is easier, but in some aspects it is because you just got to find that exploit.
No, I'm going to tell you, as a purple teamer, as someone who is breaking in and fixing, red teaming is extremely easy.
Yeah.
All you have to do is be vulnerable in one small spot, right? So blue teaming is very hard. It's an art. A lot of people don't look at it as like the glamorous work, but in reality, they're the heroes, right? And like to be a purple teamer is an honor. So like all my red teamers out there, never forget that the blue team, they still are out there fighting for the betterment.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that there because when you spend all your time on a red team, you don't always have to think about do it. You're just poking away at it,
Right.
and you don't have to think about what actually goes involved in securing it. It's
When the business software actually does need FTP because that's just how it works. How do you guard it?
yeah.
Right?
Or
Like, what's your patch management?
our favorite product to bash on, Confluence. I mean, it's as a blue team, that's a hard software to update. So it's not arbitrarily like, oh, they're just lazy admins. Like, no, you get very busy as an admin. When you got people forgetting their 2FA and yelling at you on the phone, like your job isn't just making sure stuff's secure.
Right.
You also have to deal with end users and Outlook not working.
And some of it is licensing, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
you don't have a license for the new stuff, and
Or
you
the
have
budget.
to just patch manually.
So there's a lot that goes into it. But I
But
like the concept of it.
like just last night, I was looking on the internet, and I like to do very tailored searches on Shodan, and I looked at something in Lansing, and maybe it wasn't Lansing, but it was Liquid Web for sure, and it was maybe 1.2, 1.3 million endpoints. And in those, I decided to look for XM because people have been abusing XM, right? So I went to go look, and they're all patched to XM 4.91 or 4.92. They have not one single XM exposed that is vulnerable. And you're talking about a company that has 1.2 some odd million IP addresses
large
that they're managing.
Nice.
And just in Michigan.
Yeah.
So I was like really impressed with the
That's
Liquid Web
nice.
folks,
They're staying on top of
They're
it.
staying on top of it.
Well, and it's actually one of the reasons people ask why I don't just run my servers on raw hardware when it comes to my hosting account. And we were dealing with a serious attack on one of our clients today. It was really interesting. We were telling the client they got to up their security because someone hates them.
Oh yeah.
We were doing everything right, but there's another patch thing. It's they were attacking their website. But this is one of the reasons I outsource and have my servers being managed because I need a 24/7 team when there's
Right.
WordPress patches. We have all that automated. We have all that scripted. We have the back end, the Apache servers that run on a back end. All that's automated and scripted as much as we can. But then we outsource where those are hosted right now to A2 Hosting because if there is a breach, these guys are on top of it. If there's
Right.
some type of patch that has to come out for Apache and they're running around patching it, there's some flaw found in the way SSH handles the keys for authentication on there. They're running out and patching it right away. Sometimes I sleep.
Yep.
Once in a while.
A2 was the next biggest provider with maybe like 900 or some odd thousand endpoints. So it's a nice Showdown is really fun like that where if you're just interested in the raw numbers and wanting to understand just the data behind something geographically locked is really really interesting because you can go all the way down to a city level. Who in my city is running this service? Is it vulnerable? Can I go look at it?
Yeah.
Right. It becomes really interesting.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's tough. It's tough, but that's a neat game. We haven't played that one. Now, Synology. Last week it was QNAP. Now we're after Synology devices. I wonder when FreeNAS is going to get on this list. So
I don't know. There's so much other low hanging fruit out there. I
There's a lot.
don't think people will even.
I think there's probably more Synology boxes publicly because consumers buy them. FreeNAS is if you're a FreeNAS person, I'm going to say statistically, not that FreeNAS itself or Synology, neither one of these are insecure products because the cracking method for the QNAP, Synology, and FreeNAS all is the same, guessing passwords. Not FreeNAS yet, but most of the people I think who run FreeNAS aren't hopefully not exposing it directly to the web. But I do know we've been getting a lot more into Synology and doing some consulting work with Synology, and a lot of people got these things plugged right into the internet. So that's
Believe me,
they're like, hey, there's two network interfaces. One goes to the cable modem directly.
There you go.
And they want that convenience, and we're seeing that way more often than I think we should. We turn on, it does have, I believe, it's got the 2FA on there, and we set them up securely, we set them up properly, we put them behind VPNs. You don't want to just expose these things to the internet, but other people do, and that's what's causing this. So the attacks targeted NAS devices from vendor QNAP, that was the one we talked about last week, and now it's kind of just a pivot attack, and it was kind of a, same thing, just try passwords. People do bad with passwords, so it's not a flaw they found in the product again. Synology's and QNAPs are both Linux-based devices. They have the same underlying, provided they implemented it right, good security that you can have in Linux. So, yeah, but ransomwaring those machines, hey, why not? And they're not charging much. It's like $500 or $600, and they do that because it's automation and different market. If I'm hitting a consumer, he doesn't have the $400 million a city has to pay out.
Right.
But that person that wants all their Plex Media stuff and all those torrented movies that got downloaded, they don't want to lose all that.
Is it worth $600 to them?
Yeah, is it worth $600?
I mean, they already probably got it illicitly. So like, what are they going to do? Go tell the police that I took their illicit content from them? It's like almost robbing dope dealers.
Yeah, it's like robbing dope dealers.
Crazy. That Blu-ray rip of that old movie isn't available anymore. He's gonna pay that to keep that information.
Yeah.
And I know some people
Jerry.
that have these that spent a lot of time. There's hours and hours they have into ripping videos. We've built some.
We're
storage
sitting
servers.
here next to one. How much data do you think you got?
Ooh. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
A lot. Terabytes of movies for sure.
Terabytes of just movies.
We have a client that he had a wall of all of them, thousands of them. He had this whole basement was just rows like a library. He just set up all these rows in his basement of all the stuff, and he was converting it all.
Sheesh.
Just massive storage area. His box was here. He's got a Blu-ray burner. Well, you ever seen the stacked ones that burns a bunch at once?
Oh, yeah.
It ejects all of them. We had that here. We're working on it.
Nuts.
Yeah, he is obsessive. We have to be like, you can't possibly watch that many movies. Like, why don't I just like to have them all?
Yeah, I don't. I'd rarely go back and just watch them.
It just became. It's like his hobby.
But you guys will thank me one day when the lights go out.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
head over to his place. You got all the Blu-rays ready to watch.
You better hope that the lights don't go out because of an EMP, because then it'll still be useless. It'll just be an empty scrambled drive.
I got to store it properly.
You went through this one.
I
didn't read
briefly.
it all. Okay.
Briefly.
You want to speak to it?
Sure, why not? So, let me pull that link up on my end though, because I can't see what you're saying.
Attacking the heart of the German industry. So, for a number of years, a group of professional hackers has been spying on businesses all over the world, believed to be controlled by China. For the first time in a joint investigation, the German public broadcast and NDR are shedding the light on how hackers operate and how widespread they are.
So basically, what I got from this was when I read through it, I found that Stuxnet was just the tip of the spear, and that other countries that have any kind of sophisticated cyber, espionage or any kind of cyber program at all, are doing very much so what allegedly the U.S. and Israel did with the whole Stuxnet to Iran, which is basically infecting covertly through a number of ways, ICS and supply chain for not only damaging reputation or frustrating research or just draining income, right, or sabotage, so to speak. So it's just been really interesting lately to see more and more of these types of attacks.
There was that
come to
one.
light.
A month ago, and I think we brought it up, and it was that really, really advanced with plug-in modules and everything malware that even had an offline mode. So when it was offline, you could queue commands up to it, so it went back online. It would give you file lists, and then while it was offline, you could put the command and control queue up, pulling that file. It even had a module for a USB stick, so it would enumerate all the files on the USB stick, send it back up there, and you could say next time that USB stick's plugged in, pull that one file I want that said, secret passwords.txt, and then it would re-upload it. So nation states, attribution is really hard, so we don't know that this is nation state, but it feels like it. And when you see
the research points to China.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. Basically, what happened was there was this quote unquote cybercrime ring that looks to be nation state sponsored, and they infected a company called GameForge, which has like 700 or some odd people, right? And basically, using the freemium game model, they were able to get a bunch of people to install these applications. And then the next phase was basically not necessarily aimed at that particular industry of gaming anymore, and started to move over into more industrial.
Okay.
And that's where they started to hack people like Siemens and
industrial espionage. Really precise stuff. Side note, this website's beautiful.
It's a very lovely website.
I gotta admit, like, watch when I scroll through and do this. It's just caught my eye looking at this. Like, step
and
one.
I mean, and they're targeting people like GameForge, Valve as well, TeamViewer, Siemens, Dyson Crump, Bayer, BASF, right? Like, these are huge companies that they're targeting with this campaign, and so. There right now people have to literally go back and do threat hunting and actually look to see if they've been affected with this, because I run TeamViewer. Do you run TeamViewer?
I don't, but yeah.
Right? But like, if I was a big company, I would have to go back to my logs.
Clients using it, yeah.
Right. I would have to go back to make sure that TeamViewer's compromise wasn't leveraged in furthering a foothold into a network that I may have access to or may have been on at a period of time. So it gets really icky when you may be running something that's off the shelf and you haven't done any customization to it, and then you go to a very sensitive environment where something may already be happening there, and then they leverage the installation of that particular service on your device now that you've come onto the network, and they start to use that to leverage into other networks.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how these kind of attacks often happen, where you get infected just because you visit a network that has other infected machines that have been moving covertly, because people want to move laterally.
Right.
Right? And that lateral movement is automated, and people used to call it worming, right?
Yeah.
It's very much so like a worm.
Now, the other thing, too, what makes us think nation state on any of these type of attacks is, please note, we didn't even use the word ransomware, because their idea was to go undetected, exfiltrate data only.
Right.
When you look at what they're taking, you're like, okay, who wants that? It's okay, that's going to be more like a nation state, because they're not trying to hit that and get money. They're going to go in, covertly do it, try to stay quiet, try not to leave any IOC or indicator of compromise, so they can stay in there, have a persistent foothold, and slowly espionage data out. However, whatever it is they want, they're going to slowly exfiltrate it out, and hopefully not end up in a news article like this. Their goal is to absolutely avoid this.
Yep. And it looks like in 2018, the U.S. government late 2018, the U.S. government brought charges against 10 Chinese people in relation to this, actually. So they're seeking the people who were doing this, and this looks like this campaign had really been taking place heavily in 2012.
Wow.
So this is that interesting long-term, those campaigns, that's a long campaign. That takes some money. That takes some energy, some diligence,
just focused
some organization, right? Just focused on that. And it's not immediately gaining you income. You're not doing, $10 million a year in just ransoms or mining. You're just exfilling data for someone or something. That is just nuts to me. And that's the kind of stuff, how do you defend against that? When we talk about that red team versus blue team thing, how do you defend against a person who's leveraging unknown bugs, potentially more than one, on your system that's widespread, that only they can afford to have, that haven't been put on Metasploit? The things that you don't know about, the stuff you don't see.
And you can't patch because it's zero.
How do you patch it?
And this is where companies like Zerodium are less loved in the market, because they're a dealer in such things. So if you have a 0 day, Zerodium provided it's on a product that there's an interest in, they will pay you dearly for it, and their client list is going to be
it's great.
places like this. Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
They're not going to tell you who their clients are. They're not like HackerOne, where they're working to actively close the loopholes. They're doing the exact opposite. They're selling it to nation states and trying to justify it, going, well, sometimes nation states go after bad people.
Right.
We want to help them catch the bad guys. Well, who the bad guy is really subjective when it's China trying to exfiltrate data. Of course, we're U.S. citizens, so we'll try to pretend that we're the good guys. So we even know we're very. One thing about Americans is we always hate our government. That's people. My foreign friends have come here and go, we didn't realize how much you guys really don't like your government either. We thought you're like, oh no, you guys are all suspicious. So I'm like, yeah. That's how this nation kind of started out on suspicion.
Exactly.
It's
That's
in
how
our
people
blood.
work.
Just suspicious.
That's just how people work.
That's how
It's
people
like,
work.
hey, what are you guys doing?
So yeah, I mean that was a fun article. It came out earlier this week. I'm always interested in supply chain, lateral movement, corporate espionage. That is like, if I ever write a book, that's what it's going to be about. If I ever shoot a movie, that's what it'll be, because that's the stuff that's real, hits home, and when you go into these corporate environments and you do the training, they can't train you up on that. Now General Electric did a very good job at training me up on some of this type of stuff. But it was more like, I hate to say it, but fear-mongering. It was more like, you can't go to certain parts of the world. You just can't go. I don't care if you have your work laptop or not. You are an current employee, you just can't go there because, that you may not make it back. So, like, that they were very blunt about it. But I wish almost every company was because, the company I currently work with, they have tools that maybe other countries will want to infect my machine with, but they don't necessarily preach that and kind of make it known, like kind of scare people.
Right.
Security is a scary thing at times. Until you get your window broken and like people are just walking through your house, you're not afraid of getting your window broken and people walking around into your house. So I don't know.
It's a
interesting.
lot.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a lot.
That's the fun stuff because those are the things that you're not going to go to work and they're going to be like, watch out for those nation state attackers. Like they just can't do that. They just can't.
It's a thing. So we had a Texas man misbehaving, right?
Texas man.
Hey, Texas man.
Hey, he's usually a Florida man. Everything always says a Florida man.
Exactly.
So a Texas man.
2 million phishing emails. When I read this, I was like, wow, 2 million.
Hold on. Before we get even to how many emails.
You talking about 350? You talking about that 350? I'm sick. They got to put a 350.
350
That's not
years?
a typo, folks. That's more than TK.
I mean, you're trying to like really have this
That's more than TK. He was on the race.
Grandchildren in jail.
Listen, his
for
soul.
some phishing emails.
His soul ain't leaving the jail.
His soul ain't leaving the jail. He there for life. He forever. He haunting that boy.
They're like, no.
Man.
Yeah,
You
so...
got 300 more years to go.
And this is actually something you're getting a little bit of insight when they send these phishing. Obviously, spear phishing is when you do something very targeted and you're on the phone with Sarah in the building department. But this is a total different thing when you're talking about when you send phishing. It's a numbers game. Even if you only have a 1% open rate, that's still going to make you a few dollars.
Yeah.
So 1% and X dollars collected from those people with the phishing because of, perhaps, what is he spreading ransomware? I didn't even look what they...
No, so he was literally just trying to get credit card information and spreading out, phishing pages for American Express, Bank of America, that type of stuff.
Okay.
So he got caught with a laptop that had that information on it, and he got caught with a phishing kit on a thumb drive. Done.
It's
Finished.
like all these hacks start off. He gained access to an employee's email account in 2017, and then used that email account to send out a phishing website disguised as Dropbox.
Done.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
Finished. Yeah, because when, Sally in HR tells you to go fill out the form, and the form is on Dropbox, that's what you go do.
Yep, that's what you go do, and that's not uncommon.
Nope, it's not uncommon.
And especially when they have compromised someone you trust, know emails from them.
Yeah, trust boundaries.
It goes straight to your inbox.
It goes literally
Not
to the top of it.
The top with a star.
With a star.
With a star.
Yeah, it's important.
It's
You know
Came
this
from HR.
person.
Came
You
from
know this
HR.
person.
Came
You
from
trust
HR.
them. Why would HR send you to the wrong
Phishing?
site?
Never. HR? Never. HR know your deepest, darkest secrets.
Ah, fun times, fun times. What else we have here? What's next on this list? A student A misbehaving
so it's,
student.
no, it's just student data that's
Oh,
gotten
student data.
leaked because just
Oh,
one
yeah.
laptop.
One.
Oh.
Laptop.
No, I think he stole a couple laptops.
You sure it was a couple laptops?
Yeah, I think they stole. I believe they stole 20 laptops from the administrator building.
I thought I read one.
Yeah, more than 100,000 former University of WA students were today alerted their personal data may have been compromised after thieves stole 20 laptops from the admin
20.
buildings.
There you go.
But any one
Sheesh.
laptop can easily have 100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, my laptop's old and it'll hold 100,000 people's names in it, so
Simple.
it's not a big deal. In terms of data, it's a big deal. They sold 20 of them, but this is where maintaining personal security, operational excellence with your computer. There's a password on boot on this thing.
It's
There's
encrypted.
a encrypted drive password, and then there's a login password, and those are 3 different passwords, 3 layers that you have to get through to boot up my laptop and even get in before my last pass then prompts you to fill in passwords.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are really important things, and we really and highly encourage all of our clients to use the encryption tools that are available to them on their systems. And even an accounting firm, he didn't understand why we wanted to encrypt his desktops. And I'm like, you're an accounting firm, you have people's social security numbers.
Yep.
Yeah, but the other IT people never made me do it. I said, I know. If you want to be not in compliance, please acknowledge here that you're not in compliance. That's all. And we're just saying you should do it. I can't absolutely force you to, but it is a low likelihood that someone will steal a desktop. They just ain't worth much. But I don't even assume that precaution. We still go ahead and encrypt them. That way, if anyone were to wander off with it, or even if a hard drive fails, I don't worry about a hard drive failure. We can even send it in for warranty. It's encrypted. One of the reasons I encrypt even my RAID arrays is if I have to send a drive in for warranty, it's encrypted. So there's no fear that when I send it back in replacement. If you've ever done work at any compliance agencies, a lot of them won't even let you, even on an encrypted hard drive. They make us crush them on site. We had a client that even when they got the Dell replacements, Dell would ship them a drive. They would pay for the drive because they didn't want to send the old one back without crushing it, and Dell wouldn't accept it back crushed. So they said, whatever, it's just an expense. But yeah, you got to encrypt all these stuff, and it sounds like the reason that you're sending out the compromise notice is because they didn't encrypt. That would be my guess.
That's if they actually did it, though.
Yeah.
This is why physical security is just as important as non-physical security.
Yeah, you have to keep track of all this stuff.
20 laptops?
20 laptops.
Someone's stomach is hurting.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
wandered off with them. It can happen.
That's pretty bad.
You know, we'll give a shout out to Jay Street. He talked about, making sure when you walk through an office that they're secured. Pretty much every modern laptop has a Kensington lock on it. And as he points out, you have to attach the other side of a Kensington lock to something.
That is then bolted to something.
Yeah, that has
Right.
actually been bolted because when he had mentioned them and he did a follow-up as a security breach in one of his videos, it's great. He goes, hey, good, I see you added Kensington locks. He pulls on the lock and he goes, all right, I walked off the laptop with the lock sticking out of it. They didn't attach it to the wall.
Yeah.
They just stuck the lock and wedged it behind the desk.
Yeah. That's what they did at
Do
my
it right.
Now
school.
I'm just like swinging it around by its lock.
It now has a carrying handle.
Right. Done. I'm dragging it around. It's my pet.
It has a portable platform for you to use it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and especially if you're being targeted. If you're being targeted, that's a real threat. When someone is after you because you happen to have financial information, you are being more than spear-fished. You're physical being targeted. They may take your stuff. They may grab it out of your car. That's a thing. They know
I
you
just
live
want
in
to
the
just
back
run
seat.
off with your entire forest. I'm just like your EA. I just run off with your entire DC. It's
Yeah.
just
Here's my
Yeah.
domain controller. Just
Done.
walk off with it.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And you don't have it encrypted, so I want to pull the EA creds from it or somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some smart person out there that'll get EA. I mean, you have the entire device. That is EA.
Yeah.
You are the enterprise now.
Well, and that's just a pretty notable thing. If you take someone's physical file servers out of their building, it will break. So you can. There's a kind of a back and forth. Can you crack an AD password? Kind of. If you crack it, you break Active Directory. But if your goal was not to fix Active Directory, your goal was to get the data out of it, cracking is kind of not a big deal. Right. You're not worried about the effect it's going to have on
Especially if
the
they have
forest
more than one domain controller, right?
Yeah.
Then you could go back with that cracked cred.
Yeah, that's where it won't join the others.
Oh.
It actually has a notice that does this because we've dealt with this problem before where we don't have creds properly or we have a server that's out of there. You'll end up with a trust issue because it realized that the AD was compromised. It realized it was tampered with. Microsoft actually does good security on that. So if you tamper with part of the AD, it can break it from the other pieces of the
There you
network.
go.
And that's
Very
actually
nice.
it's got some good protocol strat. It's complicated, but it works. But usually it's the data they're after, so they're not worried about breaking AT and getting around
Very
the
nice.
password.
Period.
Yeah, that's not their concern.
Especially if I'm running out the building. It's 2 people because it's heavy,
Yeah.
right?
So I don't have any more stories, but we've been here about an hour and we can talk about we've been talking about these movie recommendations. This
Yeah.
one this is a new release.
New release.
The Great
You owe me a
Hack
soda,
on
by the way.
Netflix.
Hey, 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah. The Great Hack: How a Subject Access Request Exposed Cambridge Analytica. And it sounds like a really interesting. Like I watched the trailer. It could be. I don't know if it's good or bad, so don't crucify me out of it. If you watch it like, oh, it's kind of crap, it might be kind of fluff. But Netflix has been putting some money into original content, including documentaries, and I think it might be an interesting perspective to read on there. I mean,
All
it's-
data is data that is worth ingesting. This is someone's standpoint. They took the time to put together an argument. I want to listen to said argument,
This is true.
Yeah.
even if I don't agree with it.
Yeah, and you're talking about Cambridge Analytica. They're a hot topic with their access to data
Yep.
related to the election.
I mean, and then they were talking about how Cambridge Analytica at any given time had 5,000 data points on every voter. Well, I'm a voter. Can I get a copy of my own data for free because it's my data? I want to see what data you have on me.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, I'd be way more down with using Google products and being a Google fanboy if they would just slice me into some of that data that they're selling, right? Like give me some of that back. Or how about this? Don't make me pay for Google for Business. I should get it for free. I shouldn't have to pay for anything. I should be able to get my Google phone for free.
Yeah.
I should be able to get every single thing from Google for free because you're making $1 trillion off of me just from data. So you shouldn't even charge me to give you my data. You should just have me completely embedded, top to bottom. If I want to go get a Google Home right now or whatever it's called, I should be able to go get that and just be like, hey, my data is now being siphoned off, and that is offsetting the cost of this device. And when I unplug this device, I have to send it back to them because I never paid for it, and I'm no longer giving them my data.
So
I don't want to just like give them money and have them make money off of my data. That's just not not fair.
exactly. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Cambridge Analytica, this is one of those things that I don't have enough clout, and so this fell flat. This is 2016 of November. I wrote a long article, and I called it. I did these graphics and everything. This is my writing. It's called "Bargain Presidency: Using Psychological Profiles, Facebook Dark Posts, and Micro-Targeting to Win a Presidential Election." I pulled these excerpts from Cambridge Analytica's website, piece by piece, and assembled this. Per their website collector, we've collected up to 5,000 data points on over 220 million Americans, and we use more than 100 data variables to model, target audience and groups, and predict. Now, what I did was, I was so blown away that right after Trump's win, Cambridge Analytica posted a series of articles that have all been scrubbed from the internet as best they can.
Yeah.
You can find archive copies. You can go to the Wayback Web Machine. I mean, they're not scrubbed from the internet, but Cambridge Analytica is gone. They're closed. They bragged about how they did it, so I grabbed all the materials and put this together. But I'm not a journalist, therefore it wasn't really before 2018 before Cambridge Analytica hit Congress and became an issue. But I'm like, you guys realize they are bragging about how they won it, how they use micro-targeting, and I have everything broke down in detail. This is actually a pretty long write-up I did of exactly how it was done, and everyone's like, Tom, they told me I was tinfoil hat when I wrote this. I'm like, no, dude, this is a story. I sent it to people. I did everything. It's got a lot of views, but it never really, I think they weren't grasping it. Then, like 2 years later, I see it on like Congress, CNN, everyone's talking about every major news organization is like, oh, Cambridge Analytica. Mark Zuckerberg's got to testify before Congress 2 years after. I'm like, guys, 2016, I wrote this stuff. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying this article is unedited from November of 2016. I didn't have to change
future,
anything.
man.
Sometimes all it takes is a repost.
All it takes. Yeah,
All it takes,
I've
bro.
posted it again a couple times. I'll bring it up. But look, this article's from 3 years ago now.
Nuts, bro.
But
That's nuts.
it's fun because I dive into the details of what a dark post is and what split posting is on Facebook. There's a lot of little techniques that aren't secret. If you're, for a while I was doing Facebook ads for companies. I was doing consulting on that, so I got really good at. It wasn't like I stumbled upon it. I actually spent time learning Facebook ads as doing it for clients. I had started a company at the time called LTS Creative, so I was doing all the research for that. I still have that company. It's just run by other people, but do another research.
Boss man. Hold on. I still got that company. I just don't even run it.
Yeah, just don't run it no more. So it's really interesting how I was like, wow, I never thought to do it this way. So it's partly my own fascination with it. I was impressed with it, but it's also scary when a company's blog post is bragging about, like, you want to get elected, just hire us.
Yeah.
Hit us up, bro.
Hit us up.
You got $50 million?
I mean, we like case studies, but that's a hell of a case study.
I mean, I'm almost willing to go, go to the bank, give them the exact plan for how I want to be able to run for president, give them the case study of Donald Trump and then Cambridge Analytica and be like, listen, all I need is $50 million. I'm going to go get the data. Me and bro about to go crunch it on a device over here, and we about to win.
So I think there's a video you can probably find in my collection of old videos from back then. I did a breakdown of the SEC filings by both the Clinton and Trump campaigns. This is actually what became interesting to me. Cambridge Analytica was pennies on the dollar less money spent than the Clinton campaign spent on ads. Because of the micro-targeting, they got more bang for their dollar. It was just a smarter way to spend the ad money with the way they targeted. So it became a deep dive in interest. And by the way, you can download into a Google spreadsheet SEC filings for all kinds of companies and figure out where they spend money and reverse engineer companies. That's all public knowledge, public information.
Yes.
So there's a lot you can learn about a company, about how they behave, how they're doing stuff. It's also fun for market research and talking topics on stuff. So I was hanging out with some fun business people yesterday, so we got on this whole topic. I met a really cool business broker at a Chamber of Commerce event yesterday. That's all he does is buy and sell businesses. A business to him is an asset, and that's the way he explained it to us. It was kind of cool talking to the guy.
Nice.
He treats an entire operating company with a bunch of people just as an asset that he buys, figures out how much money to put into it, and then resells it to another company, and figures out of his portfolio of assets which assets would put together. And then can build a bigger company out of it.
Sounds like
Yeah.
the way to do it.
He's a neat guy to know. Wears a really nice suit.
I bet.
He's out of my pay grade. And in my company, don't make enough money to him to raise an eyebrow about it.
Those
So
nice House of Bichon suits.
yes, you notice a guy in a nice suit like that.
$5K
And he was
better.
pleasant. So
I'm a t-shirt, flip-flops kind of
I'm
guy.
a t-shirt, flip flops all day. So I may not be that person.
But I will
so.
hack you, so let me
Yeah.
know. Hit me up.
I don't know how good his security is. I don't know his OPSEC. So, but I bet it's not as good as.
I'm sure I could find a way in. Mm-hmm. A guy with a suit that nice, yeah. There's definitely some ways in. Mm-hmm. For sure. He's opening up every document that looks juicy.
Yeah.
He runs a Plex server that's open to the internet.
Oh, someone said Cambridge Analytica didn't help Trump. They
Sure.
literally had a blog post how they helped him. It's
Sure.
on their website.
Yeah.
They go to the Wayback Web Machine. Or maybe they made it up. And maybe the expense report that he has where he spent money on it is also lied to the
Listen,
SEC.
give me a better way that Trump got elected then, buddy. Because I can't even think of a better way in which this guy would have gotten elected without using, 5,000 data points on every registered voter.
Yeah, people are easily manipulated.
This is
Or
America.
at least for 220 million.
Won by popularity.
Yeah.
But you got to get the data to know what popularity even is. What
You
does
use the
everybody
data.
like? What's the common denominator?
He already had that figured out. He already ran a hit show for
Maybe-
like
so
4
how
or
did-
5 years.
So how did he have that?
He's an entertainer.
NBC was hiring Cambridge Analytica for NBC. NBC had no care about Trump and his running of president.
Yeah. So
We'll see how this works because, like, if he gets reelected, what's the reason now?
did you watch
He's
the Democratic
going to
debate?
get really-
That's
There
the
you go.
reason.
Sheesh. I just want to eat cheese and drink wine at this point. I'm
Yeah.
done. I give up.
It's politics as usual. They're all assholes. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm not right or left. They're all assholes. I don't like
People
any of
voted
them.
for him. Clinton was a terrible candidate. I want Trump
Yes.
to hit us up
I
over
agree.
at
Well, they were-
Enterprise
they were-
Office of
yes.
Security.
They're
so
all
we can
terrible
penetrate him
candidates.
first.
No. South Park's doing got it right. Do you want a shit sandwich or what was the other one? It was
A shittier sandwich.
It was what was that? Their breakdown of the election was either like shit sandwich or something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was basically two horrible ideas. That was your options to vote, and yes, that is our options to vote.
Yes.
We have terrible people to choose from on those ballots.
Listen, I definitely didn't want Super Predator, so like I understand. You know,
Man.
yeah, they're all bad.
definitely didn't want Super Predator.
This show almost went a totally different way.
I'm just gonna be honest with you.
was
I done
almost
lost some cousins
triggered.
off that. Let's talk about it.
All right, that's it. We got anything else? Any other suggestions? We threw the Hack movie out there.
What movie you got?
Sneakers.
Sneakers. What movie you got?
for this, I don't have a movie for this week.
What?
I don't.
You got petabytes of movies and you can't.
I
Give us one.
can't. I'm trying to think.
Man.
I don't know.
I just saw a nice short film called No Choices by Volandis on YouTube. If you want to see something like that's kind of like Detroit centric, it was shot with like a $30 budget over a weekend by a local kid here named Volandis. So yeah, it's called No Choice.
Yeah, we'll just check that out.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, since I don't have a movie suggestion for this week, I will have 2 for next week. I promise.
Woo! That boy said he got 2 for next week.
Here, this was the South Park. If you remember, it was giant douche versus turd sandwich. Those were your choices and that's our choices. That's like the 2 check boxes on our ballots. We can either vote for the giant juice or the turd sandwich. Which one do you want?
Which one is the turd sandwich and which one's the giant douche?
Yes.
Jeez. Like,
yes, that's all I got to say. Yes.
jeez.
Yeah.
Joshua said, can we recommend a CTF with training wheels?
Yes. Hack the box. Get
No.
your
No.
login. Yeah. That's a CTF for training wheels. And if you can't get your login on Hack the Box, like that's training wheel CTF stuff. Get your login.
I mean, but we had this conversation. Some security experts haven't
get
been
their
able,
login?
haven't been able to hack their way into Hack the Box.
Oh, bro, you could Google it. Like.
So, I mean, I would also recommend Hack the Box, but if you need something even easier, go to tryhackme.com.
Tryhackme.com.
Yeah.
Let's pull that up real quick.
Yeah, that's training wheels for sure.
There's training wheels?
Yeah, that's training
I haven't
wheels.
been on there. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. You know what? I think I've seen this one.
Yeah, that. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. It's like they have more advanced things.
But you can
do.
start at a lower level.
Yeah. But
and
their
work your
first
way
one
up.
that they recommend is training wheels.
We're dropping it in the show notes. That way people following us later don't have to try and remember these links. Matter of fact, live in front of all of you so I don't get hate mail later. We're going to go edit the show notes.
Yeah, we're
There
gonna
you
edit
go.
show notes.
Live from show notes. It's how they got hacked.
How they got hacked. There we go. Look at that.
Who else is
Added
going
them.
to show you that behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, real-time editing, real-time clicking, pasting, and stuff like that. Oh, I got a lot to do. I got one more video I'm going to try and edit before I go home. And it's already 9 o'clock. I may pass out before I edit and just go home and crash because I got to get up at 5 and drive to Pittsburgh.
There you go.
Oh no, your car is going to drive you.
My
to
car is
Pittsburgh.
going to drive me to Pittsburgh.
That's exciting.
That's exciting.
I
You know,
should
should we settle this while we're here? Because people...
Should just
There were
rent
some
one.
Tesla haters on the last one. But we'll pull up how much the car costs because that was a debate too. Let's just solve this right now. So we're going to go to custom order.
No, when looked.
I got a link here for leasing.
Did I save my results?
So straight up purchase price, long range is the one I have, $47,900. Performance, $54,000.
Long range. You got the long range?
I got the long range, not the performance.
Okay.
I,
There you go.
I got black, which now they charge extra. They didn't charge extra for black
It's-
before.
Oh, but that's an X.
That's you. That's a Model X.
Mm.
Yeah. Model X is sweet. Don't get me
I
wrong.
still got a higher number.
48. What?
49, 9 something. Yours is how much?
They redline
Hold on,
it. It's
get
my
it all the way
zip
to the
code.
end.
They hitting me off the zip code, ain't they? Man, I'm sick.
So right here, purchase price is going to be $48,700.
Oh, yeah, mine's 49.5 over here. That
Okay.
sucks. That's a subtotal though. So it's 50,700 total.
Yeah.
So like Tesla has some kind of sliding scale on their pricing.
Yes.
I want to figure it out so that I can get the cheapest price when I go to go get my
Oh,
Tesla.
We can go back.
Me and Tom have Tesla goals along with Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Mo's probably going to get his Tesla before I get mine.
Yes.
I'll be honest.
I will have a Model S before 2020.
I'm probably not going to be able to do it, guys.
Yeah.
Unless something
Actually, let me
something
switch.
lucky happens.
Well, no, something lucky might happen because I have an idea. We'll share this real quick. I can't show the person's name that sent me this because...
Please edit it out.
But I will send, once I have the link open, I can show it to you. It's pretty cool. You get a kick out of this. For those of you looking for stuff, and this is, especially if you're looking to hack cars, my friend has a dealer's license, and you can always, everyone's got a friend that's got a dealer's license. He's got to know where to look. Where'd it go? we can find on this site, and the site's public, so I can give you the site. You just got to find someone with a license to get it for you. So let's find a Tesla.
One of the viewers, Jordan, said, Tom, what's in Pittsburgh?
A secret project.
The secret.
So you can go on this website, IAAI.com, type in Tesla. You can find Teslas that have some minor issues. They have different ratings on them. Then you can find a bunch of other ones that have been wrecked and find parts for them. And you can bid these for pretty cheap. And you find one that's got a front wreck, back wreck, assemble them two together. This is how you can build one. We're actually going to be building one out of this. And some of these just have hail damage. We looked at one of them, had really minor hail damage. They have nice 360 views of the car. So you can see whether or not you want it. So it's just got some rear end damage. It just needs a bumper.
Oh, you
So-
can do this on Copart, too.
Yeah, this site's you got to have a dealer's license to actually make the purchase, but you can get these for substantially less money than.
How much is that one?
This is a 2017. Does it have any bids on it yet?
You guys haven't seen the guy who actually goes and buy these and redo them?
Yeah, Rich
Yeah.
Rebuilds.
Yep, there you go.
Yep, Rich Rebuilds.
Yep, shout out
Sounds
to
like
Rich
it's gonna start.
Rebuilds.
The bid starts at 30,000 for
I haven't checked out his
2017.
channel in a while, but
And this is an S. This is the 100,000 model, $100,000 one. So if I typed in Model 3, it would be a lot cheaper. But this is $100,000 base. Got some minor damage. Fix a bumper on it. By the way, though, this is why Rich Rebuilds. This is what he does. He specifically specializes in the flood cars because he's got a nick. That's his niche because you can get the flood cars the cheapest because of the electronics. But when you have things like a missing bumper, you also remember you can't just put the bumper back. You got to get the sensors go all the way around the bumper. So when they rip the bumper off, they probably broke all the sensors on it. So there's a little bit more to repairing a Tesla if you want all the functions. The Tesla will work without those. Matter of fact, that's why some people take these wrecked Teslas and they build other vehicles for them. There's a popular, there's a lot of people that bolt Tesla motors into like Porsches and other vehicles.
now that might be a fun project.
You lose all the self-driving sensors,
We
blah,
should
blah,
build a
blah.
Tesla go-kart.
Yeah, Tesla go-kart.
But I'm not going to lie. If my Tesla gets hit, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Come get it and give me another one, a brand new one. I don't want to.
I'm just gonna lease it because I can't. I'm not an owner type of person when it comes to vehicles. I'm from the Motor City.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. There's a lot of it out there. So this kind of goes into it. It's a big giant thing to hack. We're looking at the API interface on it and everything else. We're like, well, there's a lot here. This is kind of cool. And this is where people have been getting bug bounties on them because they've been poking away at it.
Yeah.
And they're
I
registered.
mean, and then you got to think about it, right, guys? Like anybody can get on the internet. Anybody can go to Facebook. Facebook has an open. Like, you can go to the library and try and hack Facebook. Not everybody can get their hand on a Tesla.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the API documentation, you know?
And
like,
it's
you
all
gotta
been
think
reverse engineered.
there's
It's
no
not
way
publicly available information. But and that's one of the things. There's probably more bugs out there. There's less people poking at it. That's so.
It's not a lot of. You got to be like exclusive to get a shot at poking at it. How many people do you know that actually have the car care enough to actually poke at it?
Yeah. A lot of people just own it because they have money to buy it.
We're talking about
Don't touch
1,000. You're talking about 1,000 people max that have ever even went to go look, and probably 200 of them are actually breaking shit.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, and when we get to that part of it, we're going to do some videos on it. We're fascinated. I actually
can't
found
wait.
someone that has a USB plug-in to get access to the OBD sensor. There's
Nice.
Tesla Model 3 is one of the only cars, to my knowledge, still the only car made that doesn't have a standard OBD2 sensor. They got a special waiver not to have it, if I understood that correctly, because there's a company, because I noticed the other Teslas actually have it, so you can pull OBD data out. You can't in the Model 3, so, which is kind of weird. I was looking around under the dash for it, and I found out someone has one they made third party. So Tesla was kind of forced. Basically, Tesla was able to omit it from the car, but leave access to it if the extra hardware. And there's a company that sells a hardware kit you add on. I think it's just through the USB port. But that made me really think, if it's through the USB port does more than I thought. Because already I've looked at other attack vectors, because one of the things that Tesla does, and actually there's a Raspberry Pi sitting right back here that's completely for the Tesla. The Tesla has the ability to record dash cams to a USB, but turns out it won't read them. It won't read them back at all. That's a good security. They don't want it, because right away, if they read it, we would be putting in malicious video files. We'd be figuring out the video type, injecting something in a file, putting it back in the car, and telling it to read it. It doesn't allow you to do that. I know why Elon chose not to do that, because we would have already been, we'd be doing that right now. So the next step is when I find out there's some type of data back and forth with the USB, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. By the way, the back ones, there's no data pins in the back USB. They only put it in certain USBs have data pins. So I've already been like slowly reversing how some of this works, because we got to find the way in. The fact that this sensor is made, it kind of looks like an Arduino that they made to get the OBD data out. So now I want to find out how they figured that out and how that information can enter. So that's another in. So can I get in someone's Tesla, USB it, and unlock it, change the password, change the user it's attached to? That would be interesting. And someone asked me about the privacy of the car. I don't think about it as much, because one of the things about the Tesla, I registered that car to me, but that's actually, so is my Toyota. So if you pulled the registration out of my Toyota, it's registered to Tom Lawrence. I mean, that's not as...
What was their concern?
They said, well, what about privacy? Because Tesla knows a lot about you because they registered a car with you. I'm like, but...
if people only knew the car you own knows...
Yeah,
so much
there's a lot on there. I mean, granted, the Tesla does have GPS in it, so that is, if you were to hack my Tesla account, you know, not just me, you know where I'm at when I'm at the car, you know how fast I'm driving. So there are concerns about that.
But I could just do that with my GPS transponder that's magnetic that goes underneath your car.
It's not as much of a privacy concern, and you know, it's not a throwing down the gauntlet to do it, because I find this to be very arbitrary. But it's arbitrary to find out where I live. Someone says, "Oh man, you accidentally doxed yourself because I seen your address and something." I'm like, if you can't figure out where I live in 5 minutes, once you own a house at all, that's Wayne County Register of Deeds. All my you actually, not only that, you're gonna know all the real estate I own very quickly. And I maybe
pro tip: get an LLC, buy your house in the LLC.
Buy a house in the LLC, things like that.
Now no one knows where you live.
I may or may not have been in an argument with someone on Facebook, and may or may not have doxed someone. I said, "Mommy and Daddy gave you your house."
Brian Krebs.
Well, the guy was being
Krebs Lawrence over here.
I have an even better tip. Buy a house in the hood. And you can give out your address all day. Nobody's going to come. The police not coming.
The pizza man ain't coming.
The pizza place not coming. You can't order 30 pizzas to my house.
Nothing.
They're going to laugh.
The SWAT team not coming.
The SWAT team definitely not coming. They just sending a helicopter.
Like you in Southwest. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the DMZ zone. We'll come there when it's daylight.
Basically.
Maybe. Next week.
Next time.
With a tank.
Till it start to stink. Wait till it got a smell before we go over there.
Yeah. There's Detroit. There's good and bad with Detroit. We'll just say that there's areas of Detroit that have improved. There's areas that are still it may be as bad as the stories you heard. We're gonna quit rambling. I think we're just bullshitting now.
We're telling the truth, but this is the end.
Yeah, Tom drives off a cliff, wrote off malware. It could happen. We want to find it before someone else does. Yes. So one, genuine curiosity. 2, there's prize money. 3, you want us to find it, not the person who's going to send my car off a cliff. Because just if we find it, we're going to go on HackerOne. We're going to do a proof of concept. We're going to follow a procedure. We're going to run around in circles going, come on, when can we release this? When's the patch out? Because I got to talk about this. I got to do a video, because this is, you're so giddy. These guys with this Ford car key hack, they've been sitting on this for a year. Like, they're so ready for Black Hat. They're like, come on, man. We've already missed one Black Hat. It took Ford a year to fix this. They're not going to, I think this Black Hat they present, isn't it this Black Hat they present the key?
No clue.
But Ford's finally got the fix for it, so they can finally do it. I mean, this is a year of security research and having to sit on it and wait for Ford's patch so they can release this stuff. That's the downside about car hacks, especially in the general automotive industry. They're slow to iterate. They're slow to patch things, and especially if it's a hardware hack, they got to replace keys. So once again, it takes a long time for you to be able to release that. Yeah, 2 hackers won a car for Tesla for hacking it. Now this is how fast Tesla iterates. They hacked the browser. They found an exploit in the browser they use. So cool. They went through, found it, popped it, won the car, won the prize. This was at the Pwn to Own competition. Tesla participated in the Pwn to Own competition, supplied the car, the money, the prize, gave them the car and everything else. By the way, that team, they didn't just win it, they owned the Pwn to Own competition. Those guys are insane. They are really good. Tesla was like just the one tip of the iceberg of all the hacks they did. But really quickly, they not only patched the browser, they're changing the browser and the source and everything, the way they do the browser in it, all because of those guys. And it was a software update immediately. They did it, they hacked it, they released a software update. They pushed the software, it came out, and the Teslas all got updated. That's the way it should be, though.
It is.
Here's your money, thanks, guys. The team went in and found the hole, confirmed proof of concept, patched the hole. Now we're all safer. So
Exactly.
it's
There you go.
interesting.
Safety.
I've seen people booting Linux on their Teslas too, so it's.
Uh-oh.
But that anyone who's done it, it does take it off. You lose a lot of features.
Oh.
So, I want to find a Tesla that comes on if it's wrecked, because I just want the brain out of it just to poke at it. That's one of the other things I want to look at. So
Might
we
have
end
to
up,
look for one.
well, if we do the multiple car thing, because my friend, he's got a body shop and he wants to build one of the cars. I'm going to see if we can't, when I get it, that's all I want. I just want the electronics powered up. It runs on 12 volts, by the way. If you didn't know, it doesn't require the big battery. It just requires a standard 12 volt. There's a guy who's got a YouTube channel where he pulls apart the Teslas just to show how that works. And Rich Rebuild visits his shop. He's got a hacking shop in California.
nice.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. Watch that video. Watch it twice. I did. All right, thanks. That's it. I babbled on enough. Ready to press that button?
Xavier, press the button.
Which one?
That